We talk a lot about how AI is changing our world, right? But what about how it's changing, well, us, our minds? Today we're diving into this really surprising two-way street between our brains and the AI tools we're all using. And believe me, it is definitely not just a one-way conversation. To really get a handle on our fears about AI, we've got to go way back. I'm talking 2,400 years ago. The great philosopher Socrates was seriously worried about a new technology that he thought would make everyone forgetful, kind of intellectually lazy. And what was that terrifying new tech? The written word.
Sound a little familiar? Yeah, it's like this ancient worry has been totally reborn for the 21st century. What writing was to Socrates, generative AI is to us. It really boils down to the same fundamental question. Is this technology helping us think, or is it starting to do the thinking for us?
To try and answer that, let's start with what's happening inside our own heads. Because scientists are finding that when we use these tools, there are actual measurable changes happening in our brains. Now, the key idea here is something called cognitive offloading. I know, it's a fancy term, but it's for something you and I do all the time. Anytime you write down a shopping list instead of trying to remember it all, that's cognitive offloading. You're handing that mental job over to a piece of paper. And honestly, that can be great. It frees up your brain power for other stuff.
But there's a catch. When you successfully offload something, your brain basically says, okay, cool, I don't need to remember that anymore. It gives itself permission to forget. One researcher calls it mentally deleting the information. This is exactly why if you write a super detailed shopping list but then leave it on the kitchen counter, you're probably worse off than if you never made one at all.
And the research on this is just fascinating. A study found that when people at a museum took photos of the exhibits, they actually remembered fewer details about them later. In another experiment, people typed out a list of words. Later, researchers sneakily added a fake word to their list. And you know what? People were super confident that the fake word had been there all along. We just naturally trust our external tools, sometimes more than our own memories.
So, what does this offloading actually look like inside the brain? Well, to figure that out, researchers at MIT had people write essays while wearing these EEG caps that measure brain activity. They tried it under 3 different conditions.
The results were, well, they were striking. The people who wrote everything from memory, no help at all, showed the highest levels of brain connectivity. You could see all these different parts of their brains firing and talking to each other. The folks using Google were in the middle, and the group using ChatGPT, they had the lowest brain connectivity. They were offloading the most mental work by far.
Just like one of the lead researchers warned, all that comfort comes with a cognitive cost. When they quizzed the ChatGPT users later, they had a harder time remembering quotes from the essays they had just written. It's like they were less connected to the very words they'd produced.
Okay, so we've established that leaning too hard on AI can change the way our brains work. But that, believe it or not, is only half the story. This is where things get really, really interesting.
And here's the question that just flips the whole thing on its head. It's not just about what the AI does to us. It's about what our behavior does back to the AI.
Think of it like a feedback loop. Step 1, we offload our thinking, asking AI to draft stuff for us. Step 2, because of that, we start creating less purely original human-made content. And step 3, here's the kicker. The next generation of AI models gets trained on all the data on the internet, which now includes more and more of that less original AI-assisted stuff we just made.
This feedback loop has a name, and it's something that AI researchers are seriously concerned about. It's called model collapse.
So, model collapse is what happens when an AI starts learning from its own synthetic data, or data from other AIs, instead of fresh, messy, human-made stuff. It's like making a photocopy of a photocopy. Each time, the image gets a little blurrier, a little more generic, until you've lost all the original detail. The AI starts seeing its own reflections everywhere and mistakes them for reality.
As philosopher Andy Clark puts it, when these language models get stuck in these loops, their ability to be creative just deteriorates. They start to forget the weird outliers and the rich diversity of human thought, and they start to converge on this bland, predictable average.
So our cognitive laziness doesn't just make us less engaged. In the long run, it could actually pollute the very data that these amazing AI models need to stay sharp. Our stupid habits could literally be making the AI stupider too. It really is a two-way street. All right, so how do we get out of this cycle? The good news is we can. The experts believe we just need to build better habits. We can use AI as a tool to make us smarter, not as a replacement for thinking. So here are a few practical tips. Rule number 1, and this is the big one, think for yourself first. Do your own brainstorming before you ever open up that chatbot, and treat the AI with a healthy dose of skepticism. Think of it like a brilliant but sometimes unreliable coworker. And instead of letting it frame your whole argument, ask it for raw data, for facts, that you can then weave into your own original story.
See, this all boils down to one simple idea. The goal isn't to run away from AI. It's to use it as a powerful partner to enhance the understanding you already have, not as a shortcut to skip the hard work of thinking in the first place.
I think this quote just hits the nail on the head. The technology itself isn't the problem. It's a tool. The real question is about us, about our behavior, and whether we're choosing to use that tool wisely.
Which leaves us with this final massive question. We now know our minds and our machines are locked in this incredibly intimate feedback loop. What one does truly affects the other, so the path we take from here will decide everything. Will we use this connection to lift each other up, to rise together? Or will we get caught in a downward spiral and collapse together? Really? The choice is ours.